Welcome to our channel. Listen to short audiobooks every day and improve yourself.
Alex Edmans may contain lies, how stories, statistics and studies exploit our biases, and what we can do about it. In an era flooded with information from myriad sources, distinguishing truth from deception has never been more crucial. Every day brings with it a bombardment of so-called data, facts, and evidence, but how do you ensure that your decisions are based on accurate information? Moreover, how do you prevent your own biases from leading you astray? The solution lies in understanding the mechanisms behind your thinking processes, the pitfalls that can distort your interpretations, and the strategies for mitigating these influences. You'll learn about the subtle power of the twin biases, confirmation bias and black and white thinking, and how they can skew your construction of reality. You'll explore the problems these biases introduce in accepting incomplete or misleading information as proof, and the practical solutions for overcoming these biases and deceptive plays to make informed and sound decisions. It's important to note that moving toward critical engagement with information isn't just about enhancing personal knowledge, but also about making responsible choices in a complex world, bettering our organizations and societies along the way. Recognize the biases. Traversing the landscape of our thoughts and judgments reveals a network of cognitive biases that subtly influence our perceptions and decisions. Chief among these are confirmation bias and black and white thinking, which together shape much of our understanding of the world, often without our conscious awareness. Confirmation bias operates on two levels: naive acceptance and blinkered skepticism. Naive acceptance occurs when we unquestioningly embrace information that aligns with our preferences or beliefs, while blinkered skepticism leads us to reject or rigorously contest information that contradicts our views. This bias is embedded deep in our psychological makeup, with roots in the brain's amygdala. In fact, we even enjoy a dose of dopamine whenever we successfully disregard information we consider disagreeable. The implications of confirmation bias extend to how we conduct searches for information. There's a tendency to overlook sources that might offer divergent viewpoints, leading to a reinforcement of existing beliefs rather than a broadening of understanding. Counterintuitively, this biased search pattern is made worse as people gain more knowledge, as it equips them with the tools needed for motivated reasoning, making them adept at dismissing contradictory evidence. Similarly, black and white thinking simplifies complex issues into absolutes. Things are either black or white. This cognitive shortcut was advantageous in historical contexts where quick, decisive action was necessary for survival. However, in today's nuanced world, such dichotomous thinking often leads to misconceptions. Black and white thinking manifests in extreme statements that claim universality, ignoring that reality is more often shades of grey. For example, the belief that something is entirely good or bad ignores the spectrum of impact different quantities or types can have, as seen with nutrients like carbohydrates or the mixed attributes of technologies like semiconductors. To counter these biases, it's essential that we consciously question our initial reactions to information. Asking whether we desire a statement to be true can uncover instances of naive acceptance, while considering the validity of a claim we dislike may mitigate blinkered skepticism. Similarly, scrutinizing statements for absolute language can help identify misleading black and white thinking. Recognizing these twin biases of confirmation and black and white thinking equips us with a more accurate assessment of information, fostering a more informed, discerning approach to the complexities of the modern world. By embracing this mindful engagement with information, we can navigate a path toward clearer understanding and more rational decision-making. Understand the problems. Understanding the pitfalls of the twin biases provides crucial insights into the limitations of how we process and interpret information. For instance, it's essential to recognize that a statement isn't inherently a fact and that the evidence presented as proof may not always withstand scrutiny. Let's start with the former. Statements often hinge on cited studies or quotes that might not be as definitive as they appear. Misrepresentation is a common issue in which specific parts of a study are selected to support a point, potentially omitting crucial context that could alter the interpretation. Therefore, to evaluate a statement critically, we must verify the existence of cited evidence, ensuring that the conclusions drawn from the studies actually align with the results and that the data itself supports these conclusions. Moving to data, we need to remember that data alone is not conclusive evidence, as it may not represent causation but merely correlation. For instance, statements like, "People who do X are more successful," can be problematic if those individuals differ in significant ways other than just doing X. This nuance highlights the importance of considering whether other factors could influence the observed outcomes and whether the input itself could be affected by the same factors that drive the output. Finally, the concept of evidence being equal to proof also needs examination. Even if evidence suggests a causal relationship within a specific context, it does not guarantee universal applicability. The external validity of evidence is often limited by the specificity of the conditions under which it was gathered. For instance, findings effective in one industry or country may not apply to another due to different underlying conditions. This consideration underscores the necessity of questioning the applicability of results beyond the studied scenarios, which, fortunately, can frequently be discerned with a little common sense. All this is to say that we must consume statements, data, and evidence with caution in today's world, evaluating the reliability of statements, the integrity of data, and the generalizability of evidence. By adopting a skeptical and thorough approach to interpreting information, we can better shield ourselves from the distortions caused by the twin biases and take steps toward making truly evidence-based decisions. Doing so simultaneously strengthens our capacity to engage with complex issues more effectively and to adapt our strategies to align with a broader, more accurate understanding of the world. Valuable commodities in a post-truth era. Learn the solutions. Overcoming the twin biases of confirmation and black and white thinking requires a proactive approach to gathering information and a commitment to rigor when processing it. Such an endeavour may sound taxing, and in some ways it is. But in addition to the questions we explored in the last section, here are some rules of thumb to make thriving in this post-truth world easier. The first is to seek out opposing opinions. This can be achieved by analysing articles that present contrary views or diversifying our media consumption to include sources across the political and philosophical spectrum. This broadened perspective can help challenge our preconceptions and reduce the risk of remaining locked in echo chambers. In scholarly research, peer review serves as a critical checkpoint in ensuring the reliability of conclusions and data. It allows us to benefit from the scrutiny of knowledgeable experts who can identify potential flaws in methodology or interpretation on our behalf. However, the process isn't foolproof. Recognizing this, we shouldn't rely solely on individual studies, but rather seek out systematic reviews or meta-analyses that reflect scientific consensus, providing a more robust foundation for our understanding. When evaluating non-peer-reviewed materials like books or company reports, we can weigh whether the content is balanced, assess whether it asserts excessively the fastidiousness of its findings, and consider whether the authors or institutions are credible and reputable. Ultimately, each of us plays a role in combating misinformation. This responsibility means careful vetting before sharing any study, acknowledging that sharing is an endorsement of its analysis, and resisting the urge to dismiss sources without genuinely engaging with their content. Similarly, we should approach discussions with the aim of understanding rather than merely winning, emphasizing finding common ground and articulating how different perspectives might jointly achieve shared objectives. While it's unrealistic to expect flawless, bias-free thinking at all times, striving for improvement rather than perfection is a practical and worthwhile goal. By enhancing our critical thinking skills and remaining vigilant against misinformation, we can make significant strides in our ability to interact with complex information critically and constructively. Crucially, this effort doesn't just benefit us as individuals, it enriches our organizations, society, and world. To May Contain Lies by Alex Edmans, you've learned that our psychological biases and societal structures favour sensationalism over truth, allowing falsehoods to run rampant. By recognizing these biases and actively seeking out reliable information, you can become a more discerning consumer of content, a skill now critical in today's post-truth world. The impact of pervasive misinformation extends beyond mere confusion. It erodes public trust and influences critical decision-making in personal and professional realms. However, there's hope. By fostering critical thinking and promoting basic scientific literacy, anyone can arm themselves against deception. Ultimately, the journey to discernment isn't just about protecting oneself from lies. It's about contributing to a more informed, rational, and trusting society. Embracing these principles can lead to a brighter future where truth prevails, fostering a culture of integrity and understanding.